This is worth what people are paying for it. Now, Politico asked, a bunch of people, I guess, in light of Christie's troubles and all the other talk, who are going to be the finalists in the Republican race, who's going to be the nominee. And so I did send them a little paragraph and I said, I don't know who the nominee is going to be, but everyone's going to want to try to run, right? This is really unusual for the Republicans. Republicans are such a hierarchical party, next in line, Romney, McCain, Dole. This time, no next in line, more like a Democratic primary in a way. I think healthy for the party, incidentally. But I did say, with great confidence, phony, false confidence, that I know who the 9 people on stage after Labor Day in the first serious Republican debate, Labor Day 2015, are going to be. Okay, who are they going to be? Sure. Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush will be the establishment candidate.
Will be in.
I think so. I think Christie's in trouble. I think Jeb is much more likely to run than people have thought, and he will have formidable establishment support. 2 sitting governors, I think, Midwestern governors, both attractive. Scott Walker of Wisconsin, Mike Pence of Indiana. Pence, I think, underrated. He served in the House. Favorite of conservatives, knows about foreign policy as well. 2 sitting Republican senators, Ted Cruz and Rand Paul.
So you think Cruz will jump in?
Yes.
Wow.
And they both will have, real messages and some real support. I think they're also underrated a little bit. Who else does that leave? Okay, then we have Mike Huckabee, who ran in 2008.
Think he'll jump in too, huh?
I think he might. And I think, again, he's underrated in Washington. He's an awfully talented candidate.
He is very talented.
And won Iowa, didn't he, in 2008, as I recall?
Easily.
And could do it again, I think. So that's 6. John Bolton, the former State Department official, UN ambassador, he believes strongly that foreign policy issues need to be litigated, and he'll want to make the hawkish case on the stage, and he'll do a good job of it. So that's 7. Then, just to have people's heads explode, of course, I put down Sarah Palin. Why won't she actually? I was thinking about this. Why wouldn't she think of running, actually?
Why wouldn't she?
I mean, if she could, the truth is, she might be kind of formidable in a Republican primary, and it would be great. It would be great to have everyone go crazy, and Mika would be, having issues. Look at her already. The head's about to explode. The eyes are getting a little,
Right.
And 9th, I said Joe Scarborough.
Oh, okay. As a debate moderator, I love it.
No, I think a candidate.
Rick Perry.
There's always Rick Perry and those guys will look at the race and try the race and then realize that I think they fall out in preseason and in training camp.
Wait, I'm not going to let that go.
So that's 9. That's my 9. That's
Why
the starting 9? I don't know. It's a baseball, the starting 9.
No.
See, there's this sport called baseball that they play
Why
here.
would you put Joe on that list?
Why did I put Joe on that list? He's a former elected official. He's got a real following out there. He'll fill the John Huntsman lane. I should have that. Okay, I'll never be on the show again. That's okay. There's room. There's room for it.
Listen, I love John Huntsman.
I like John Huntsman.
See, look, now you guys are going to profess your loyalty. That was bad. That was tough.
No, I love John Huntsman. It's just coming from you. That's like waving a bloody flag to conservatives. So that's why it was laughing.
Well, now you can show.
I take that as a compliment.
You do it now, and I've set you up to explain to everyone that you are much more conservative than John Huntsman, and you're a fiscal conservative.
So are these your choices?
Wait, hold on.
This is just my prediction, not my choices.
Say that more slowly. You said I am conservative? Is that what you said?
I said you found some issues you're conservative.
Oh, shut up. I'm very conservative.
You are.
So let's make an argument
you would make an articulate argument for certain forms of, let's call it morning Joe conservatism.
There you go.
Can I?
Listen, I think we agree on most things.
Yeah, we do.
We don't on foreign policy, obviously. I'm far more... I think Hillary Clinton's view on foreign policy is probably closer to yours, and I don't say that as an insult. I think Hillary Clinton's a far bigger neocon than
I wish, if only,
or a lot of other.
If only. It would be a good debate.
Michael, go ahead. And then I'm going to talk about Sarah Palin for a second and make a counterintuitive argument for Sarah Palin. Michael.
I want to hear that, Joe, because I would probably agree with you on that. But I think one of the things that this list points up, at least to me, is a question that really needs to be answered, and that is, what is conservatism? What is a conservative going into this 2016 race? I think you'll see a lot of that question begin to get shaped and answered this election cycle in 2014. Particularly with some of the Tea Party challenges that we see in places like Kentucky and elsewhere. So I think the list, this presidential list, is going to be a very intriguing one because you've got the gamut, if you will, from a Jeb Bush establishment type to, you know, a Rand Paul libertarian type of candidate, and how they frame this argument of what conservatism is in the 21st century is going to be very important.
It's going to be an exciting race. Now, I want to talk about Sarah Palin for a second, just to make people's heads explode, to make Mika's heads explode. Sarah Palin is like that athlete that, and I love how Pat Buchanan always talks about political athletes. Sarah Palin's like that athlete, we'll say Babe Ruth, okay? Babe Ruth gets off the field, right? And he's just messy and sloppy, and he doesn't know how to conduct himself off the field. That people could forget if he wasn't on the field for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, that every time he comes to the plate and the pressure's on, he hits a home run. I go back to, and I compare Sarah Palin as a public figure, and she's done so many things that have disappointed me. So I am not a Sarah Palin fan. I think she's made one mistake after another. But I'm just saying, for argument's sake, if you're Sarah Palin, why not run? Because I compare her to Oliver North. Remember how the press was killing Oliver North? Killing him. Just eviscerating him. And he was given a microphone for about 3 or 4 days. And he owned America. And then he walked off stage, and then the press started kicking Oliver North. And so, of course, now we all know that Oliver North was just crazy, out of control, this, that, and the other. But when he had the microphone, people forget that when Sarah Palin had the microphone, yes, she had a bad Katie Couric interview. But not only did she deliver one of the best Republican National Convention speeches that I've heard in my lifetime, it really was pretty remarkable, given everything, that at the end of the campaign, when my dear friend Joe Biden was stuck on an airplane with earphones in and was drawing 250 people in Pennsylvania, Sarah Palin was lighting up the campaign trail and had thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there. The only thing the press could do is scour through a crowd of 10,000 and find one racist sign and say, oh, all of Sarah Palin's supporters are racists. So while I have been deeply disappointed in Sarah Palin, and I'm not suggesting she has the abilities to be a governor, let alone a president, given a lot of things, I'm just saying she's shown some real weaknesses. Get her on the campaign trail, Bill, and she lights it up. I don't know if she still would, but I think the press has forgotten just how great she was.
Look, she's a huge political talent, A. B, she has a real populist streak and a real feel for sort of middle America in a way that very few politicians do. I think her biggest mistake, from which she probably can't recover, was stepping down as governor partway through her term. I think she had a rocky presidential campaign, but ultimately not actually a bad one. She did not hurt the ticket. I think you can make a case that she might have marginally helped the ticket. In any case, she was young. She could have had a rocky VP campaign and then gone on to be. She was a pretty good governor of Alaska. And if she had stayed as governor, finished the term, said, you know, I did some good here, handed off to her lieutenant governor. Right. I think it's going to be hard for people to get beyond probably her stepping down for sort of unclear reasons, and then not really do. She didn't step down and then say, I'm taking up this project, I'm going to do something for America. She sort of stepped down and became
she made money. And
so I think that's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of a problem. So I don't think she ultimately makes it. She makes it through the first 2 or 3 debates. She livens things up. Then she withdraws. Then she withdraws in favor of Joe. That's why Joe just gave that beautiful 3-minute tribute.
I want the endorsement.
Okay, so I don't disagree with anything you said. She could do it. She would do what you said. It would be a sensation. It would make her millions of dollars, get her back in center stage. But just because she did a good speech that Nicole Wallace wrote, and
you know,
John, if I could just,
or whoever,
listen,
not her.
She worked on it. That's not true. She worked on it with Matt Scully and John McConnell. She did as much. She contributed as much to that speech as most politicians do to most speeches.
And by the way, if it were that simple to deliver a speech under those circumstances, a lot more people.
Here's what I would say: she will not be the nominee, but actually, it would be foolish for the next Republican nominee not to spend some time talking with her. She has a real feel for what people out there care about, and a way to formulate things, and she should be part of the conversation.
All right,
I'm just going to say it wouldn't be good for the country, and I'm sure you don't disagree. We have to move on.
Well, let's go to Chuck. Chuck, earlier today we had Politico talking about Jeb. Right now, I'm hearing more and more chatter about Jeb jumping in the race. Bill Kristol thinks he gets in, and with Chris Christie's problems growing, why wouldn't he? There is not an establishment candidate out there, if not Jeb Bush.
The issue is whether he wants, I think you ought to go back to the language he used a couple weeks ago when he said he wants to have, he wants to be able to make sure he can run an optimistic campaign, run joyfully. The problem he's got is the minute he runs, can he run and defend his own record, or is he going to be stuck running to defend his brother?